Man, I think we had a little bit of too many turnovers. They definitely slowed the pace down. And at the end of the day, we got to play what works for us. We got to keep our pace high. We got to play our defensive schemes, take care of business on the defensive end, get boards and run. That's what we're good at. We have great people who are awesome in the open court. And so I just think we lacked pace tonight, honestly.
Kaylee, can you take me through that second quarter play with Stokes that made you upset and then you hopped into the back?
Like, that hurts. Like, the ref can't miss that. And then I have to play with a contusion in my leg the rest of the game. Like, it's ridiculous. Can't miss calls like that.
Hi, everyone. I'm back today with another fun and cool video. So let's jump right into it. As halftime got close, you could almost feel the worry buzzing through the tunnel like little sparks of electricity. One of the most exciting parts of any Indiana Fever game had just ended. But inside the locker room, things got kind of messy. Caitlin Clark's face was serious, and her eyes looked sharp, and she marched quickly toward the bench. Coach Stephanie White was right behind her, holding her clipboard, trying to give directions over the loud noise from the crowd. Then it happened. You could feel the energy in the air, even though the cameras couldn't pick up what they were saying. Clark looked really upset. She turned around quick and faced fairly straight on. Even the assistant coaches stood still like statues while she shook her head, pointed at the court, and said something sharp. It wasn't for show. It was real. She wasn't being dramatic like a movie star having a meltdown. She was a top player who wanted strong leadership, freedom to play her way, and honest answers. If you watch her career, you can tell right away that Clark doesn't pretend everything is fine. From the busy college games in Iowa to the biggest WNBA crowds ever, she plays like she's trying to change the whole game, right while she's playing it. She's also bold and says what she really thinks. But this time was different. It was about way more than just one bad part of the game or missing a turn on the court. It was about what comes next for the Fever, and whether the team would let Caitlin Clark be herself. Clark didn't come to the WNBA to just be a helper on the team. She didn't spend 4 amazing years in college just to be pushed aside or told to slow down so someone else could hold the ball and waste time. Fans buy tickets to watch her do her thing, like shooting fast threes, making passes without looking, and zooming down the court right after grabbing a rebound. But since she got to Indiana, she's been playing it safe. On one side, there's the old way of doing things. Games with low scores, tough fights for every point, and special plays made to help older players who have been in the league for 10 years.
In no way, shape, form, or fashion, we are not going to see Logo Caitlin with these performances, bro.
What they do. And I had some good looks that didn't go down, and then, I shot some tougher looks too, but, I thought I finally kind of played with a little bit more pace and a little bit more burst, especially down the stretch in the fourth, but hopefully I don't have to keep playing 25 minutes.
Ooh!
Coach White is at ease in the situation. She is not interested in 35-foot branding shots or ostentatious transitional crossings. She is here to maintain control, discipline, and run plays through the veterans. Conversely, up-tempo, chaos, speed, space offense, and creative freedom are all part of Clark's vision for the game. She is revolutionary rather than careless, and she was screaming enough with her snap at halftime. One might say that it has been developing for some weeks. The miscues, the delayed rotations, the plays in which Kelsey Mitchell dribbled into a contested mid-range shot, as Clark was completely frozen out. Clark's annoyance went beyond his feelings. It was tactical. The system is holding her back like sandbags on a rocket ship as she reads the floor 3 steps ahead. Everything had changed at the beginning of the third quarter. With a totally new attitude and fury in her eyes, Clark came out. It was like she had flipped a switch. She hit 3 deep three-pointers in less than 5 minutes, changing from a playmaker into an assassin. Coach White stayed silent as the crowd went wild and watched from the bench. It was clear. The team had gotten better since Clark took control. The ball suddenly started moving. Her teammates were setting screens on purpose and cutting harder, which opened things up more. Finally, Natasha Howard, who had been slowing down the offense, started to move with Clark's pace. Maybe feeling the change, Kelsey Mitchell gave Clark a transition assist instead of forcing shots. Because of that, after a 30-point quarter, the team looked like a playoff contender instead of a messy middle-level group. Naturally, The press conference after the game was confusing. Coach White gave a usual answer. We changed things. Without admitting what had clearly happened on national TV, the team said, well, it was a terrific second-half effort. There was no mention of the argument. Clark, however, did not avoid it. With a calm look, she added, we are trying to build something here. And sometimes that means having hard talks, because we want to win. My goal is to win. In other words, I am not here to be polite. I am here to lead. And you know what? She is not wrong. The Fever need to give her the keys and step aside if they want to win. She is more than just their top scorer. She is their best communicator, floor leader, passer, and in the end, their best chance to build a modern identity. The WNBA is changing. Speed, space, and star power are replacing the old ways of playing. Clark is all of that, and even more. But that change will not be easy. There are still veterans in that locker room who feel they have earned more respect. There are still coaches who think safety comes from being organized. There are still many people in the media who think Clark's confidence is arrogance. But here is the truth. Dynasties are not built by being unsure. They are built on vision, courage, and letting your best players shape the culture. And culture is what is at stake here. This is not only about play calls and stat lines. The real question is whether the Indiana Fever are ready to become the team that follows Caitlin Clark into the future, or if they want to stay stuck in mediocrity, mixed with old-school tactics and veteran egos. The fans have decided what they want. The crowd in the arena shouts her name. Her merchandise is selling off the shelves. Every time the ball is in her hands, Espen turns to her reactions. She is not just a rookie. She is a revolution. Every revolution starts with a moment like the halftime blow-up, when the star finally says out loud what everyone has been thinking. It is enough. I will run this. What happened at halftime was only a spark. But now, a much bigger issue is starting to grow. There is a quiet issue building in Indiana and across the league. To be clear, Caitlin Clark was not speaking only for herself when she yelled at her coach. She was speaking for every athlete who has ever been held back by a system that is too stiff to let them reach their full potential. For every rookie who is told to just follow orders instead of stepping up. And for every star who is told to obey instead of lead. This is about more than just a fight over power. Women's basketball is in the early stages of a culture battle between tradition and change. Stephanie White represents a group of coaches who built their style with the same playbook for everyone, along with discipline and repetition. To be fair, that plan worked in the early 2000s. It worked when the league was fighting for stability and attention. In the past, making fewer mistakes seemed like the way to earn trust. But the 2025 WNBA is a different story. Fans want more than just efficiency. They want style. They want stars. They want 30-foot shots that explode on Twitter right away, along with speed and attitude. They want to feel emotion again. And Caitlin Clark brings that feeling over and over. She is not a perfect athlete. She is not flawless. Even her biggest fans get nervous when she takes heat-check shots. But you know what else she does? The moment the ball touches her hands, she puts pressure on defenses. She sees passes before they happen. She makes things better for opponents, teammates, and the league as a whole. And that is why this coaching conflict matters so much. It is not about disrespect. It is about being on the same page. Right now, Caitlin Clark is playing like a once-in-a-generation star, trapped in a role-player system. You can also see it in the rhythm of the game and in the body language. The offense breaks down, and the pace gets slower. Another possession ends in the corner, with Clark standing there and her hands raised. Also, this is not just about one game, even if you might think that. There is a pattern here. The gap is slowly getting bigger between a visionary and an organization that is too careful to keep up. Now let's talk about the locker room, because, as the video transcript clearly shows, not everyone is ready for the Clark era. This team has players, especially veterans, who feel they should be the ones making decisions. Kelsey Mitchell, for example, has been the face of the Fever for years, and the tension shows in her play. The isolation plays, the bad passes, and the struggle to adjust to Clark's pace. This is more generational than personal. And this is not a problem only in Indiana. It happens every time a young star joins a team full of veterans. Ego, pride, and fear of being passed up or replaced are always there. But here is the hard truth. If the Fever want to win, they have to choose vision over comfort. And right now, Clark is the vision. The team needs to adjust. When she calls for the ball, they need to give it to her. She needs coaching that guides her, not coaching that holds her back. It means building the system around her strengths instead of forcing her to change who she is to fit someone else's plan. It also means the front office has to stop trying to please both sides. Right now, Indiana is stuck in the middle. It is trying to use the excitement Clark brings while also keeping its veterans happy. But that cannot last. If they do not fully invest in this once-in-a-generation talent, they risk watching her leave when her rookie contract ends. And Clark has options. She is already famous all over the world. She could leave Indiana and still dominate sponsorships, merchandise sales, and headlines. But if she stays, it should be because this team was built for her, not the other way around. Let's also talk about how the halftime argument affected the whole league. That video went viral the moment it hit social media. Podcasts, TikTok edits, and debate shows are all telling different versions of the story. Some people see Clark as an ungrateful rookie who goes against authority. Others called her a breath of fresh air because she finally demanded responsibility and direction. But once again, she moved the conversation. That was something no one could deny. This is where things start to get interesting, because that kind of cultural influence brings both opportunity and responsibility. Clark is doing more than just shaping her team's identity. She is changing the way people talk about coaching, covering, and watching women's basketball. She is showing that WNBA stars can have ambition, disagreements, and ideas. And that is leadership, not diva behavior. Think about how people cover NBA players. When Luka Doncic yells at Jason Kidd, we do not panic. We see the disagreement as a normal part of fierce competition. But when Caitlin Clark does the same thing, it becomes headline news. It is called a scandal. It is called disrespect. Clark is challenging that loud double standard. But that challenge will clearly face pushback. From coaches who feel their authority is being tested. From commentators who expect rookies to be grateful and quiet. From fans who want her to stay in her place. But the truth is, she does not have a lane. She is building a highway. The most ironic part is that the Fever started playing better basketball after the argument. The offense became looser. The pace got faster. Players were truly moving without the ball, and the team was scoring more well. It felt like a surprise. When you trust your once-in-a-generation point guard, your team gets better. This is what comes next. If the Indiana Fever are serious about winning games, not just selling tickets and getting clicks, they need to have some hard conversations. They must decide if Stephanie White is the right coach for this team's future. They must decide whether veterans who refuse to adjust should stay part of this core. And because no one succeeds while stuck in the middle, they must give Caitlin Clark both freedom and support. Either you become the team that had her and let her leave, or you give power to your star. Because of Caitlin Clark's outburst at her coach, let's talk about the ripple effect. That was bigger than just a Fever problem. The whole league got the message on live TV. Coaches and general managers across WNBA locker rooms had to sit up and ask themselves one simple question: will we be next? Because when a player with Clark's fame, numbers, and brand power takes control of a story like that, it changes the pull of the whole league. She is not just putting on a show. She is changing the power order. This is not only about basketball, let's be clear. It is about branding, media, and the economics of attention. Every time Caitlin Clark goes to a new city, jerseys sell out and ticket prices jump. All of a sudden, local news stations that have not covered the WNBA in 10 years start sending cameras. She is the first athlete in years who moves markets, not just basketballs. Because the league and sponsors pay attention when she speaks, whether at a press conference or, yes, during a tense halftime moment, she has power that goes beyond the court. Look at how Fever games are being packaged right now. They are getting primetime coverage. Suddenly, ESPN panelists are putting the WNBA in their lineup. It is not because someone finally noticed how good the league is. It is because Caitlin Clark's presence is too hard to ignore. Let's also talk about brand deals. Do you really think Nike gave her a special shoe only because a rookie is great at shooting threes? No. They did it because Clark brings drama and a strong story people can connect to. Marketers care deeply about three things. That halftime explosion did not hurt her brand. It built it. It showed that she is not just here to take pictures and smile. She is here to win. And that is a story you can sell. But this also puts more pressure on the Fever organization. Now you have a player who lifts not just your box score, but also the total business value of your team. If you are still using old systems that hold back her potential, then you are not only failing her, but also failing your partners, investors, and fans by not making the most of what she brings. Speaking of fans, let's talk about the new audience Clark is bringing in. She is drawing in casual fans as well as loyal ones. College fans who have never watched a NBA game are coming because of her. She is also attracting people who care more about stats and vibes. This league has always deserved more attention, so that is not a bad thing. And whether people like it or not, Clark is bringing them in. But new eyes also come with new expectations. People expect fast-paced drama, emotional players, highlight plays, and moving offenses. They do not want to watch 30-second shot clock grinds that end in forced jumpers or 17 straight post-ups. They want speed. They are looking for flair, and they want their star to be empowered. That is why the Fever's current strategy feels out of sync. You have a league that is finally getting attention, and a team that keeps turning the lights down. That has to change. Other players are watching what Caitlin Clark just did in Indiana. So let's zoom out. Second-year forwards stuck behind veterans who cannot pass, and young guards on rebuilding teams are all watching. They are seeing how Clark uses her voice and how her franchise responds. If the Fever support her, change the offense, and adjust the coaching, it could start a new wave of player empowerment. Other stars will begin asking for systems built for them, not because they are arrogant, but because they know it can be done. Clark just showed that it is possible. But if the Fever ignore her and bury her talent in bad spacing and outdated play calling, they will set a dangerous example. It would be a huge mischance for the NBA if it told other rookies to stay quiet and stay small. Because this is the truth. Caitlin Clark is not a unicorn. She is just the first of many. There is a whole pipeline. A wave is coming. Juju Watkins, Paige Buchers, and Hannah Hidalgo. And these young women will not act extra nice just to win approval. They grew up watching LeBron make decisions in Los Angeles. They have seen Steph Curry change the way an offense works. They understand systems built around stars, not the other way around. And the Tumbier has to choose. Either change with them or risk losing them. Not just in games, but in the culture too. Now, let's talk about Coach Stephanie White again. To look at it, not to attack her. She is a good coach. She is a first-season figure. But sometimes that can be the problem. Coaches who have been around for decades often rely on what worked in the past. When they watch fast basketball, they picture chaos. They see logo threes and think it means no discipline. When they see players speaking loudly in huddles, they think it is disrespect. But what they are missing is how leadership grows. Clark's halftime outburst was not about ego. It was about urgency. It was about saying, if you trust us, we can win. That is leadership. Yes, it is messy. Yes, it is emotional. But it is real. And if White, or any coach, cannot accept that, they will keep losing the locker room one star at a time. This is something people have not talked about enough. Clark's moment may have saved the Fever's season. Sometimes things have to break before they can be fixed. Sometimes you have to say the quiet part out loud. That is what Clark did. She showed the pressure everyone was already feeling. And now the organization has no more excuses, and there is a path forward. They have seen what happens when they lean into Clark's style. You get 99 points. You get space. You feel flow. You get results. What will they do with that information? Will they hide it again? Or will they finally build a system that gives her full control? Whatever choice they make will shape this franchise's future for the next 3 years. Here is the worst part. The next time Clark loses her cool, it might not happen during a game. Stars do not wait forever, so it might happen in the off-season, during a contract meeting, or when asking for a trade. Not during today's game. Not when they already know their value. Not with everyone watching. You are sitting courtside. The crowd is electric. The cameras are moving. And then, as halftime gets close, bang, a wave of tension hits. It is more than a small disagreement. It is more than a simple misunderstanding. It is a confrontation. Caitlin Clark, the face of the rising WNBA, is yelling at head coach Stephanie White, and everyone in the league is watching. It did not feel like a one-time moment. It felt like the result of weeks, maybe even months, of growing tension, wasted potential, and a way of thinking so mismatched that they might as well be playing two completely different sports. This is not just about one game. Let's be honest. This is about identity. Who is really leading the Indiana Fever? The star changing the rules, or the old guard holding on to structure? Behind the scenes, whispers are turning into open talks. League sources say Clark has tried many times to speak up in team meetings. She has asked for faster sets. She has shared ideas about spacing and rotations. She has pointed out the clear problems in the team's transition offense. And most of the time, she got silence. Sources say the frustration reached its highest point when Coach White benched Clark for a key possession in the fourth quarter of a close game. It was said to be for rest, but when her team struggled on offense again, people saw Clark tighten her jaw, fold her arms, and avoid eye contact. Is this the beginning of a full revolt? You cannot help but ask. This is where it gets even more interesting. It's becoming more clear that Clark is not alone. Younger players, rookies, and second-year students who watched her dominate at Iowa are quietly backing her ideas. They want more passing, less one-on-one play, a faster offense, and more trust in modern basketball that uses numbers and stats. According to reports, one assistant coach told a coworker, "We're trying to drive our 21st century Ferrari like a 1990s Buick." It is not a criticism of Stephanie White. Even though she is a well-known basketball expert, there is no denying there is a big difference in style. The Fever's speed puts them close to the bottom of the league. When you let Clark take over, your offense goes up. The numbers seem to be saying out loud what Clark is too upset to say herself. The feeling in the locker room, however, is cold. In one case, Clark confronted a teammate after missing another fast break chance. According to reports, the teammate fired back. "On our team, you are not alone." The feeling changed. Eyes darted around. The room was tense. That was a big turning point. There was a quiet split between those who stubbornly held on to their seniority and those who welcomed Clark as the future. You would expect that against the Dallas Wings. With critics staying quiet, the team would put up a 99-point offensive outburst. However, no. Analysts called it a fluke. Others said Clark's stats were puffed up. But watch the clip. When she sets the pace, you can't argue with it. Along with looking like a playoff team, the Fever seem to be having fun. With rookies like Victoria Saxton and Lexi Hull, the team chemistry has grown. Quick decisions, non-stop speed, and players moving without the ball. It is the kind of basketball that fills up highlight clips and packs stadiums. And it is real strategy, not just big talk. The situation is exactly the same off the court. Although Clark's group has stayed professional, worry is growing behind the scenes. They are not asking for special treatment. They are asking for common sense. A once-in-a-generation point guard is the base of the whole system, not just one reason for it. Talk of a coaching change has started going around among some media outlets. Would the front office really think about it? Would they be brave enough to do it? The Fever still show public support for Stephanie White, but pressure is building in private. More fans are showing up. Merchandise is flying off the shelves. At last, the team is getting national attention. Do they keep the momentum going, or do they let the pushback inside the team cause it to stall? On top of that, there is a fan base that is more active, loud, and split than ever before. Clark's fans are loud and loyal. They argue that she is more than just the face of the Fever. She is the future of the league. They are not wrong. Every time she steps on the court, TV ratings go up. Like nobody since Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi, she has pushed the WNBA into the mainstream. However, her critics claim that she is very demanding, that she ought to wait her turn, and that she must prove herself before challenging a coach on national television. Let us be honest. That criticism sounds like fear, dislike of change, dislike of anything new, and worry, that the weight of obvious star power is breaking down the old structure, which was built on seniority and the way things have always been done. In these discussions, the name Paige Bucklers keeps coming up. Even with her calm skill, quiet strength, and coachability, Clark did not just outscore Bucklers when they played each other. She controlled the whole game. Bucklers is amazing. However, Clark is a game changer. Still, their rivalry is just getting started. Bucklers' interview after the game was calm and in control, but it also had a little bit of an edge to it. She said, "They got us today. However, we will meet them once again." There was a steady determination in her voice that promises fire the next time they play, but no real anger. And fans, oh, they are ready. Bucklers versus Clark could end up being the league's most famous rivalry, built on smarts instead of just drama. Two different legacies and two different kinds of players are being written in real time. Now, back in Indiana, the Fever's front office has to make a really important choice. Stand by their coach and risk upsetting the player who is making them famous, or reshape the system to give Clark the support, the freedom, and the modern setup she needs to succeed. They cannot do both. The wall is fading away. Halfway efforts are no longer enough. In truth, this breakdown was more than just a burst of emotion. There was a line drawn in the sand. Caitlin Clark is tired of making compromises. "I am sick of waiting around. I am sick of being polite just to keep my ego in check." Her wishes are simple: to win, to take the lead, to play her way, to change the game. Maybe, just maybe, this outburst was the spark the team needed. Because sometimes it takes a little fire to burn away what's holding you back. One thing is for sure: no matter what happens next, whether White adjusts or leaves, or Clark has to survive another season where the styles don't match up, Caitlin Clark is done waiting. And with the WNBA, things are about to get a whole lot more interesting.